Welcome back to the Chester Centurions Podcast, the show where we explore the journeys, lessons and insights of entrepreneurs and business leaders making an impact across Chester and beyond. I'm your host Alan Bark, and today I'm joined by Danny Novick, Managing Director of Mercury Search Selection, a specialist recruitment business serving the global print and packaging industry. Since 2000, Mercury has carved out a reputation as the market leader in a sector that most of us rarely think about, but one that's the fifth largest industry in the world. From Chester to countries across Europe, Asia and beyond, Danny and her team operate on a global scale, matching talent with opportunity in an industry that touches our everyday lives. In this episode, Danny shares her story of moving from South Africa to the UK, where she set out to do recruitment differently and better, and the lessons she's learned becoming a close-knit, award-winning team over the past 25 years. We also talk about the misconceptions of running a business, how to build resilience, the role AI in recruitment, and Danny's exciting plans for the future, including transitioning Mercury into an employee-owned business. This conversion is packed with practical wisdom, honesty, and some brilliant insights on leadership, culture, and what it really takes to grow a sustainable business. Let's dive in. Danny, welcome to the Chester Centurion Podcast.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
So before we get started today, I'd love to know a little bit more about the business and what it is you do.
Well, Mercury recruits specifically for the print and packaging sectors globally. Mm-hmm. We have been established since 2000, and although people think of print, well, people don't think of print and packaging at all. They're pretty essential in terms of how we live and what we do on a day-to-day basis. It's the fifth largest industry in the world.
Wow.
It's very well paid, and since 2000 we have established ourselves as market leaders. And although we're based in Chester, we do work globally, which is the benefit of being telephone based.
Yeah.
We're very excited to continue our success in our markets, building on the strength of our relationships, really. But specialist recruitment is our niche sector serves us well. Mm-hmm. There are only very few companies that recruit for this market, so we pretty much love what we do.
And you're truly global. You recruit in all sorts of countries around the world, right?
We do. And, the lucky thing for us, up until recently, headhunting was illegal in Benelux countries, but only illegal for Benelux-based businesses, which gives us a real advantage because we are headhunters. We go out and target individuals for our company's needs. And when it's a practice that's not instilled in those countries, it comes out of the blue. And it allows us to be really targeted and really focused. So, yes, we are truly global. And it's wonderful working with our customers who are also global and kind of keeping track of where they go across the globe.
Fascinating, really fascinating. And so cool that you're based locally as well. But so is it 24 hours a day that you've got teams operating?
We do have, thankfully not, because we tend to recruit at a more senior or specialist level. During COVID, we were pretty much 24 hours a day because there was a real need. The packaging industry in particular was booming at that point. Mm-hmm. So there was a real need for us to help our clients. And only Australia gives us early morning headaches. But you know what? People are the same the world over. Actually, they want to work in a very great environment. They want to help you help them. And if you can find that partnership with your clients, with your candidates, you'll always get the best out of them, irrespective of where in the globe they are.
So cool. So going back to the start, Danny, I guess the question is what motivated you to start your own business in the first place? What was the driving force behind your decision to take on this entrepreneurial role?
I don't think it was ever a conscious decision. I'm South African and always wanted to live in the UK. Mm-hmm. So in a nutshell, I came to the UK, which was my ultimate objective, age 20, and went round to a number of these recruitment agencies and said, I have a degree, albeit in nutrition, but I'll pack boxes. Just find me a job, any job. And nobody called. And I was fascinated by that. And I really wanted to get into recruitment because I thought that I was a really good potential candidate. Eventually I got into recruitment, high street recruitment. We're talking the 90s here. So at the time, it still is to an extent, but at the time it was populated by a bunch of cowboys. And I wasn't motivated to set up a business as a lot of people are to make money. I genuinely wanted to do it differently. I wanted to do it better. I love learning. I still do. And I wanted to understand the situations that my customers were facing. I wanted to understand more, especially in recruitment. You're dealing with pretty complex commercial situations. And at a very base level, you're dealing with how people put bread on the table. Mm-hmm. So to have a greater understanding of psychology, of commerciality is useful. And the recruitment industry that I was part of at that time didn't support me in training, in development, didn't want me to develop long-term relationships with my clients. They wanted a fee. They wanted it instantly. And I wanted to be able to do business with the same companies time and time again because I knew that it would make my job easier if I could get that cultural match correct.
Wow.
So I set up Mercury on the basis that we were going to do things differently. We were going to do things better. And we consistently have for the last 25 years. We've won multiple awards for our training and development programs. We're a small business. We're only 16 people. Mm-hmm. And with that size, it allows us focus to really invest in our team, both in terms of training, but just in terms of looking after their well-being. We have, because of that, a comparatively low staff turnover. Mm-hmm. And that not only serves us as a business, but it also serves our clients and our candidates because we have people with a wealth of knowledge and experience in their market sectors. So that was my key driver, really.
So what I'm hearing, if I can dig around this for a little bit, Danny, because there's a couple of key messages in here. I love the do it differently, do it better. But you said you've got a really tight-knit team, and it feels like you've got the culture right. How have you gone about that?
You know, it's been very hit and miss, and there's been times where we brought in big programs and looked at reward schemes and had a whole pick and mix thing of you can have healthcare and you can have this, you can have that. Mm-hmm. But fundamentally, I think how we've achieved this is by genuinely caring for the people that we work for. And it starts and finishes there for us. It's taking an interest in who they are. It helps that we actually like each other. You know, we spend a lot of time together, and recruitment is a very intense environment. It is very stressful. And so understanding that we're all in the trenches together helps. And it's not an us against them culture. I believe in these people. And I know that they will, to be honest, I would do anything for them. I really do go the extra mile for my staff because I view them as my family. You know, especially coming to the UK, I have no family here apart from the family that I've built. So, you know, for instance, my right hand, or one of my right hands, I've got three, has worked with me for 22 years. So wow. There's not much that we don't know about each other. And it's genuinely caring for her and knowing that she genuinely cares for not just me, but for the business as a whole.
I think there's a lesson there for anyone that's building a team. And it's actually echoes something I heard from Gary Vaynerchuk when I was at one of his talks a couple of weeks ago, and he talks about building a family as a team. And you've just used exactly the same words, you know, genuinely caring for the people that work for you. And you like each other. And that's a really simple statement, but, you know, it's so powerful when you think about it. Working with people you like and genuinely care for and building this family environment for, you know, that are all striving for the same thing is so powerful. I would challenge any business not to be successful if they get that bit right.
But, you know, not every business has that privilege, especially of the liking people, because, you know, in a larger organization where somebody else is responsible for recruiting, invariably there will be people that you don't like. And actually, you don't have to like them. Mm-hmm. If you bring into mind the family element of it, you know, there's always that one family member that you don't like. It's that sort of thing. And within a family, uniquely, you can dislike people. You can argue because there's nowhere to go. Mm-hmm. And it's okay because you have the security of the family. That means that you have to come back to it. So if you have viewed your organization as that family and you can fight within that organization, you'll get some very constructive discussions out of these sorts of things.
Yeah.
You'll realize that you don't have to like them. I'm fortunate that I do, but you don't actually have to like them. And so many times, as a manager, I have gone through so many courses and so many trainings, and I have had the privilege of coaching as well. And I've had many coaches tell me that I need to set boundaries. And if I don't set the boundaries, I'm going to have it thrown back in my face. And my genuine experience has led me to believe, you know what, I don't have boundaries with my staff. And it does and has been thrown back in my face, and I get hurt. But the payoff of the ones that don't throw it back in my face outweighs every idiot that has. And, there will always be the one person who takes the mick, who pushes the envelope a little bit too far. But there are so many people who actually will meet you where you're at and will provide the same level of commitment to you that you have given to them.
I get that. So, by setting boundaries, what you're doing is you're stifling the people that genuinely want to be part of the family of that unit.
Yeah.
And why should you set boundaries to protect yourself against the few when the benefits are so great for the many? That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Absolutely love it. I love it. That's so cool. And again, this whole thing about growing an incredible team is I think one of the key ingredients of building a successful business is probably the number one key ingredient of growing a successful business.
It is. And in growing a successful team, it's complacent to ever get to a point where you think you're there, because you're never there, really. The team dynamics change because people's circumstances change. And where you thought you had a three-legged stool in a particular department, all of a sudden there's a wobble and you have to supplement that wobble. So it should be a dynamic, evolving requirement, and you should constantly be looking out for, how do I supplement this team? How do I add to it? Whether that's through upskilling the team that you've got, or bringing in additional people who can add some new focus or some new ideas. I love it when people talk about diversity. I work in a very male-dominated environment. The print and packaging industry is 87% male. So whenever there's a need for any diversity conversations or presentations, they wheel me out. And my fundamental message is that diversity actually has little to do with gender, sexuality, preferences, religion, color. It's actually to do with skill sets and mindsets and perspectives. And that you may have your 3 alternate sexuality people. You may have your quota of minority communities. But if all of them have gone to the same schools, have grown up in the same environment, are listening to the same echo chamber on social media, and have the same ideas, you don't have a diverse team. So if we are only looking at the superficial nature of diversity, we're missing the point.
That's an incredible point.
So, it's your team is an evolving thing.
Thank you so much for that. You've got me really thinking now, Danny. So we'll move on. What would you suggest are some of the common misconceptions about running a business, and how have you gone about addressing them?
For me, because I have over the years working in recruitment, had the privilege of working with business owners and people who are starting businesses. And I think one of the most common misconceptions is that because I'm good at something, I'm going to start a business doing the thing that I'm good at, and the business is going to be successful. But the thing that you're good at is only one element of running a business. You have to be able to juggle multiple things. So, for instance, you might be the most amazing business coach, but how are you on invoicing and credit control? What's your marketing like? How are you going to find new customers? What's your operational management like when you've got an office space to run? Can you deal with the council when they're trying to negotiate your rates up? There are so many elements. And if you don't know an area, outsource it to somebody else. So the one misconception is that your skill alone, your key talent, is what it takes to make a business successful. No, it's not. It's actually understanding your lack of talent or the areas where you're deficient that makes a successful business, because only when you know what you don't know can you do something about it.
I remember coaching a very, very young man. He just started an accountancy practice. And I said, tell me about your sales strategy. He says, well, I'm not a salesman, I'm an accountant. I says, you're not an accountant, you're a business owner, which means you're a salesman. Yeah. And he was like, what do I do?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, exactly. No, really good point. Any more on that? Any other misconceptions?
Also that I love it when I hear people saying to me, oh, I'd love to have my own business. I could just do whatever I wanted to do. And the reality is, as the business owner, the buck stops with you. So actually very rarely do you get to do what you want to do. Because if the toilets are blocked in a building that you own and you've got staff that need to use those toilets and you can't get a plumber, you're the plumber. You don't get to do what you want to do if you want your business to succeed. You get to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. Yeah. So, there is no, well, I'm the boss. You're the everything. Yeah. And I think especially in, current climates with, I can't believe I'm saying this. No, edit this out. The youth of today. But there is a sense of entitlement that, that's not in my job description. Mm-hmm. In order to succeed, everything is in your job description. And as anybody who's wanting to start a business, I think that's the number one thing you've got to get your head around, that you've got to be adaptable. Beautiful. I love it. So how do you maintain a work-life balance as a business owner? And do you have any sort of personal rituals or habits that keep you motivated? It's so many that I'm actually a bit of a laughing stock amongst my staff, because over the years, this is 25 years of running a successful business in a stressful environment. But I genuinely believe that unless you manage yourself, there will be nothing else there. So I have developed so many different strategies, and I'm constantly looking for new things that, work-life balance in the early years, if I'm honest with you, Alan, it really doesn't exist. And I can say, well, put your out of office on. But actually, if things need dealing with that are time critical, there is no out of office. Mm-hmm. So the approach that I started to take was being able to switch on and then switch off, which allowed me to access my emails, deal with what needed to deal with, and then switch back into my personal life without the contemplation. And the areas that I not only preach about, I live and breathe, are movement. You've got to keep yourself in decent conditions. So it's exercise. It's really getting outside, getting some fresh air, moving your body. I am a qualified yoga instructor. I have a really strong meditation practice that has taken me 20 years to get to, and I still struggle with it. I eat really well. I find the things that bring me joy, and I make sure that I do something that brings me joy every single day, and that I'm conscious of it. So, again, these are all such cliched things, but I do have a journal that I write in every single day. And I do have to look for things to write in my journal, which means that when I wake up in the morning, I'm looking for things, because when I face that piece of paper at the end of the day, it's hard when there's nothing to put down. And when you're having a lousy day, and you know that you've got to face that blank piece of paper at the end of the day, you're going to take a breath. You're going to stop and look for something, anything, so that you don't have to feel like the failure that's sitting down and saying, there was nothing today that I could be grateful for. So finding things that work for you. For me, movement absolutely works. I can actually physically feel a shift in my energy, in my mood. In fact, when I can see my team getting really bogged down, we all get up and move. I now, because I am so fatty, I'm very into cold water swimming. I a lot of breath work. Wow. They call me a boardroom. I really am a boardroom hippie. But it's amazing how many people I encounter, especially at a senior level of my clients, that are looking for ways to not only manage their stress, but actually elevate their performance all around. Mm-hmm. And it genuinely does. Taking those few breaths before a presentation, visualizing what it is you're looking for the outcome to be, replaying it in your mind. The studies show that you will be building new neural connections and actually advancing your ability to do something. So, for me, looking outside of your norm, pushing those boundaries and finding practices that at the end of it, you feel good for. Something tough, something challenging, something easy. Don't just go for an easy jog, the same route that you've been doing all the time. Push yourself. Because only when we are in an elevated state, a real effort, do we access flow. And that's important to be able to switch off. And that switching off allows you to come back to the problem, the business, the employee, whatever it is, with a renewed focus.
There's some gold in there as well, isn't there? I mean, the whole thing about looking after your health, the movement, the keep fit, the nutrition, the hydration, the sleep, making sure you get all that right. Journaling, I'm a massive fan of journaling myself. I think it's good for reflection, but it's also good to keep you focused on what you're trying to achieve. I've been able to switch on and switch off. So it is, you're right, there's no out of office when you are a business owner, but that ability to switch on, get something done, and then switch back off into your family life is really important and a skill.
It is, and it's one that comes with practice. And, we talk about journaling nowadays. It's very en vogue to journal, but it's not just journaling from a mental well-being perspective. It's actually writing things down. If I go into a meeting now, wherever I am, I've got paper and I've got a pen, and I don't often, my handwriting is so bad that I don't often ever read the notes that I've written, but I'm making notes constantly. And in meetings, I'll often apologize for the fact that I'm making notes, but it is a very active form of listening. And so whoever I'm sitting in front of feels reassured that they're being heard. And more importantly, I know I'm listening because I'm making a mark on paper. And for some reason, that really helps me. And I have a great memory, but it really helps me cement the learning. And should I need it, there might be a scribble that could be referenced in the future. But it's important to go back to the skill. We're all so busy typing. It's actually it's a tactile thing that switches on some neurons, certainly in my brain. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 10, 15 years time where people are not accustomed to writing, how they make that connection. So, it's journaling. Yes, absolutely. For reflection, for growth, for plotting and planning and dreaming. But actually just jotting down some notes when you're trying to learn something is quite useful.
Interesting. And where do you see the industry going in the future? Because obviously things are changing rapidly nowadays with, AI and all the other things that are happening. Where do you see the industry going?
Well, my industry, as in recruitment, is undergoing huge change as it relates to AI, and I'm sure many industries are. For me, where AI can add value is in bolstering and supporting recruiters in sourcing information. But where AI fails in both recruitment and every other industry is taking that information and understanding how it's appealing and applicable to the audience. And that's the key human element. So what it will do is make us as recruiters better armed to go into the market to, we'll have the people that we need to approach identified. But unless we know those people's hopes, dreams, ambitions, we're not going to be able to sell it. We may as well just email them across. So for us, we don't see much of a change. And if anything, actually, it's where we add additional value. It is the human element that allows us to charge a premium fee to our clients because we do take the interest, we do make the connections about, well, we spoke to somebody 10 years ago who may actually be interested in an organization that did X, Y, and Z. You can store that on AI, but it is the personal relationship that gets those conversations going.
Yeah.
So what I think we all need to get our heads around is AI is useful, really, really useful. But it's a tool.
Yeah.
And if you take out the human element of doing business, you devalue who and what you are. And actually that devalues your business. It makes you replaceable. Not just you as a human, but your business, completely replaceable. It doesn't improve efficiencies overall because ultimately you're going to be redundant. So it's thinking about how you can use AI to assist you and your clients or customers to better gain. Even for coaching or psychology, there's these amazing apps that you can get. You can actually get a shrink in your pocket.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to do. But, there are times where the app will glitch and it's actually uncomfortable. There is a coaching app that you can use. Some of my staff use it. It's right on their desk. They can ask this particular app a question of how do I deal with this thing, and it's psychology based because it's overcoming objections. But when it keeps coming up with the same answer, the problem then is we become so reliant on it that we just go, okay, well then that's the answer. We don't question it. We don't push it. So the only danger that I see with AI is that we as human beings allow it to do the thinking for us.
Interesting.
We've got to use it.
Could you give us a glimpse into the future of your business, Danny, and what the next chapter of your entrepreneurial journey is?
Well, we're in a really exciting phase. At 25 years old, Mercury is as we speak, going through an employee ownership trust.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, which is really exciting. Our team will take ownership of the business through a trust, allowing me to exit the business within about 2 years. And it's a fantastic opportunity for them. We've got a long-standing team. They know the business. But in all the things that we've been talking about, my role within the next 2 years is to round them off. They're all good at their jobs, and we want to get them good at running a business so that they can do it independent of me. They will be moving. We are in a beautiful office space in Pulford that we own the building. We've been there for 17 years. We're very happy there, but we are moving into Chester. We've just bought a church in Hanbridge that we're hopefully going to be converting into offices, which will furnish the growth. Our market sectors are growing. And, one of the biggest challenges that any business has in Chester is finding the right people. We are up until about 3 years ago, we were the area of lowest unemployment in all of the UK. And, we're very fortunate that we have large businesses on the business park, for instance, but it swallows up a big proportion of people that would suit my business. And we've got to cater for that. So the next stage for Mercury is changing. We were in Pulford, everybody drove. It was great because we didn't have to battle town centre, and we didn't have to worry about you. Now, actually, quite a few of my staff don't drive. They want to be more central. So moving us into Chester on our next chapter, we have big growth plans, or they have big growth plans going forward because our markets have continued to expand and grow. And although we are very comprehensive in our offering to the print and packaging sectors, there are some areas that we don't cover as comprehensively as we could because we don't have enough people to do that. So they will continue the growth of Mercury and hopefully have a continued long and successful career ahead of them. And as for me, well, you know what? I'm kind of looking at my next 2 years as my big project, and thereafter, I do quite a bit of charity work currently. I'm a trustee on two charities. I'd love to continue that. I do currently teach yoga and breath work, and I have been asked to coach at a corporate level on wellness. I've also been asked to coach at a corporate level on structure because I've had such a privileged position for 25 years that I've seen so many different structures as it relates to businesses. So from how to structure a business to get best out of it, I've really experienced it from a unique angle. So who knows? It's one of those fabulous unknowns. I'm excited. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Really exciting.
Yeah.
I've got one more big question for you, Danny, and that is, I guess, what are the top 3 pieces of advice that you would offer someone thinking about starting their own business or maybe facing challenges in their own business at the moment? What would be your top 3? And I think you've given us a few already, but if you were to summarize them, what would they be?
You know what? There's no top 3, but I think some really wise things to consider is every obstacle that you face is a way of building resilience, because you will face the same obstacles again in one guise or another, and every time you face them, they're less frightening, and you refer back to your experience and You'll know best how to manage them and how to deal with them. It's okay to get it wrong. In fact, sometimes it's really useful to get it wrong. And more importantly, it's okay to not know everything. Be open, be curious, take an interest beyond your wider self. Don't get caught up in your competitors. Don't even get too caught up in your customers. Try and understand what your customers' customers are doing. Think bigger, widen the lens. When you look to the horizon generally, you will find so many more interesting things that you can find useful to yourself, because if you can understand what your customers' pain points are, you'll be able to serve them. And another vital piece of, for me, advice, and something that I live by, is don't look for the pound sign immediately. Look for where you can be of best use. And ultimately, the money will come. And I'm not for 1 second saying be a mug and do your work for free, but I am saying don't start from that point and say, what's in it for me? Think to yourself, what's in it for them? And if you can answer the question of what's in it for them, you've done your sales pitch.
No argument here, Danny. This is all absolute gold dust. Money is the outcome without a shadow of a doubt. And I love the widen the lens and be curious. So many good lessons here for anybody thinking about starting their own business. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
I've got a pay forward question from my last podcast, which is, what's your favorite business book?
Oh, there are so many. I mean, we say business books. I'm not going to use a business book here, but it's one that I've used in business many times.
Okay.
And it's called The Tale of Pooh.
The Tale of what?
It's looking at Taoism. Let me explain. It's looking at Taoism as it relates to Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
And it looks at different elements of people's behavior. For instance, is always out there and looking for things, whereas Eeyore just is. And it's finding and identifying different people's personalities, their communication styles. It was something that was brought to me when I became, I'm a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner. Yeah. And when I did my NLP training, this was one of the books that our trainer recommended to us. And, actually, wait, sorry, Alan, there could be another one.
Go on.
Which has also got pictures, because that's what... Another one that's got pictures, which I loved, is called Who Moved My Cheese?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was scratch and sniff and hum and haw, isn't it? Yeah.
That's it. So it's not just the pictures that I like about these books, although they do help. But it's, Who Moved My Cheese is about not getting complacent and continually looking. The Tale of Pooh is about taking an interest in where people are coming from. And that led me onto a whole interesting journey of Carl Jung and looking at our identities, which helps me as a communicator. Mm-hmm. Because if you can identify the person that you're communicating's style, mm-hmm. you can adapt your communication to ensure that your message is heard and that you're listening to theirs.
Well, I've read a lot of business books, but I'm going to add this one now. Thank you for
Please
that.
Please do.
Absolutely.
It's one of my favorites.
And I 100% get where you're coming from there. And I'm going to read it. Thank you for that.
So please, I'd love to hear how it goes for you.
Well, I'll certainly let you know. So tell me, what's the question that you'd like to pay forward?
What is the reflection you would like at your retirement party?
Oh, what is the reflection?
Or what is the speech that they want made at their retirement party? What's your legacy? How do you want to be remembered?
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Danny. It's been an absolute pleasure. There's so much value in this podcast. I hope anybody listening is getting so much value out of this. And thank you so much for being on.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, Alan.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Bye.